So my message now is up to you.
Yep, that's all you can do.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't have anything formal necessarily to share tonight. I know that I put out there sort of like, what did you guys want to talk about? So real quick though, I will give you an update on a couple things. One is the 2B mindset automation plan that I have working in my favor. I have all of the lead posts saved into a Word document, but I have not put them into an email, what do you call that? Like an email chain or whatever. Because my current email, Chris is trying to help me figure this out. My current email blast system, like my newsletter and everything, is through my personal, Jenny Swisher. So when you get an email from me and you're subscribed to my newsletter or to the team, you're getting it from Jenny Swisher, Independent Beachbody Coach, whatever. So if I set everything up automation wise for 2B, it'll be the same thing. And I don't want like your customers to get an email from me. I want them to just get a Body Electric message. So, but in order to do that, we would have to set up a separate account with MailChimp to do that. Does that make sense? So that's what we're looking into, because I already pay for automation. So we would have to pay for it separately again for the other account. So Chris is looking into technically what we need to do to make that happen most cost effectively. But it should be pretty easy to do once we figure that out. So I'm hoping to have it done by Thanksgiving instead of first of year. So that's the plan for that. And then the second thing is, if you had a chance to listen to the National Wake Up Call on Monday, the girl that led the call talked about how she leads just an ongoing virtual gym instead of having like specific dedicated challenge groups per program or per trainer or whatever. And I thought that was a really cool idea, especially personally speaking, just because I've owned an actual gym before. So
my executive producer, Andy.
Okay. Anyways, so so I feel like, that would be a really cool idea or concept for our team to pull off, because I know that there are several of you who are running your own challenge groups. Like I know some of you are doing my challenge tracker things for specific programs, or you're doing Facebook groups for specific programs. With the, in the case of this gratitude challenge, you guys you're taking my content and then you're using that into your own gratitude challenge. So that's really cool. And I think it's working to an extent, but I almost wonder if the virtual gym approach would be something that we can almost like, it wouldn't be like a typical challenge group, right? Like it wouldn't necessarily be a start date, end date, 30 days of this, 20 days of this. Like it wouldn't necessarily be like a traditional challenge group. It would be more like just an ongoing place for accountability, tips, meal plans, ideas, that sort of thing. So that's something that I wanted to throw out and just see what you guys think. Because I think that I love that idea. And especially for me, having owned an actual gym, I was like, oh, that makes total sense to have, because when I owned my gym, I had a Facebook group specifically for my members. And it was just a really great way for us to, the accountability, people used to say too, like the accountability level at our gym was so much greater than anywhere else because of that group. And so I felt like when it comes to adding value in a group like that, like that's something that I can really excel with myself. And so I think it'd be really cool to do something like that. Just sort of a big pool. So what I was even thinking is like, if you guys say, you're like, I'm going to run a Shift Shop challenge group myself, and I'm going to put my people in my challenge tracker, or I'm going to put people in my own Facebook group, and I'm going to have these 3 or 4 ladies, and we're going to go through it together. You could do that, right? Like you should still do that. And that's your challenge group. But then those ladies could be also added to the Body Electric virtual gym for sort of like the tips, the tricks, the bigger like community vibe. I think they could benefit from both. They wouldn't have to be checking in every single day, right? Like they would be checking in with their win or their workout or whatever. if they want to in both groups, but you would be leading them privately through a specific program, but they would have access to that virtual gym as sort of another layer of accountability. And
So
I really like that. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Katie.
oh, it's Laura.
Oh, Laura, sorry.
Okay. So I haven't listened to the National Wake Up Call yet, and maybe she explained it a little bit more, but like, what's the difference between doing it that way and running a general challenge group that has multiple programs?
Just the same thing, but I really like just the phrase virtual gym. Like, she calls it virtual gym, and I think that's great
right now.
Say what?
That's actually what I'm doing right now, pretty much.
Yeah.
That's what I've been doing. I run consistently like the same type of people are doing all different programs right now in my group. I don't run a program specific group. I haven't for probably about 6 months.
Yeah. Yeah. So it would be like that, but it would be sort of what I envision is, you know, if we help, I think I don't know what our numbers were last month, not as great, but if we help 50 people a month with challenge packs as a team, right? Like each of us are running a challenge group with 2, 3, 4, or 5 people in it. But those 50 new people are being added to our virtual gym where they have access to like the whole community there. I'm picturing that being just like, I don't know, like pretty much anything, like form and technique tips, like meal plan ideas, like recipes, blog shares, like ongoing content that's just being posted in there, not necessarily lead posted, not like, okay, group, we're doing shift shop starting tomorrow. Like not that at all. Just more like virtual gym, right? So I like that idea because for every reason I've just listed, but also because I like that it would give us a great platform to really, it's almost like you're showcasing our team, but yet still running your own challenge group. Does that make sense? So
would you be open to some of us that are live certified, maybe teaching live class? Like,
I think that would be, I just had that today. I thought of that because I saw that video that was posted by, I think it was Danielle Natoni with like the video. And I was like, oh yeah, that would be super cool. And I think I mentioned this, where did I mention this? Maybe, I don't know, recently. I thought it was on this call, but maybe not. Having like a specific once a month, like virtual class for people to hop into, or when it comes to like, you know how Transform 20 will be out in January. I'm sure they're going to put out like a Transform 20 sneak peek, like to do a live sneak peek somewhere. Like, so the virtual gym could almost be that sort of like creates energy and excitement about the next programs. Like it just kind of keeps all of our customers in the loop. I also think it would be a great way, because you guys probably experience this too, like 80% of my sales come from 20% of my people, right? Like a lot of people buy repeatedly. So people that joined my gratitude challenge last year reached out to me about joining it this year. Okay, you haven't purchased anything since last year, so there's 2 more points, right? Like there's people coming back around. So the nice thing about having them plugged into that virtual gym is that then they always see what's going on, right? Like, because they're going to see things. They're going to see challengers post about like, I just started the new Transform 20, and they're going to be like, hey Jenny, what's Transform 20? I saw the people in the virtual gym were talking about it, right? So it's going to help our residual sales. It'll be a great platform for showcasing our team. We could even do like what is coaching type live streams in there. So I kind of see it as being sort of just a bigger group community vibe, and we can run our own individual challenge groups on our own. And we should be teaching our coaches to do that too.
I like it.
I really like it as somewhere for everybody to go after that first 30 days. And I know I get overwhelmed, and I've talked to people about them getting overwhelmed with some of our groups. So I think even if I were to put them, you know, the month you join, you go into my small challenge group, and then the last week of the month or the last week of that small challenge group, maybe that's when I would add them to the virtual gym. So they're not kind of that last week. I
like that idea. Yeah.
They're kind of getting enticed to continue, because I have a lot of people who come back into my challenge groups, and Jennifer and I run a lot together. And we've talked a lot about like, we're constantly creating new content. And so that way, like your first time in a challenge group, we can do more, not scripted, but just repeat our challenge groups that we've already created with all that content and not worry about, somebody who's been in there I have literally people who've been in my challenge groups for a year. And they continue on Shakeology, so they continue coming in and they like the accountability. And I'm like, well, you're seeing some of the same posts. Sorry.
Yeah.
So I really like it as a place to put people who have gone through that first challenge group, and they just want the accountability. They want the community.
Right.
But they don't need everything that we do in that first challenge group. I like that a lot.
Yeah. I think that's what we'd be going for sure. I like that idea of putting them in after the group. But real quick, I want to just say this before I let it leave my mind. Amber Kuiper and her husband, by the way, they just started a podcast. Don't listen to the first 3 because it's just them trying to figure out their own podcast. But no offense, Amber, if you see this recording. But the rest of them are awesome, and they have an awesome business that they've built together. And one of the things that they do is so you know how we do like the weekly meal plans in our groups, or we have, as for the team-led groups that we've done before, we've done the meal plans. They do that. And it is not an extra charge. Like, people don't obviously pay for that. They get access to it when they buy a challenge group. But I think this is really smart. They only have access to those meal plans so long as they're active on Shakeology or Performance Line. So the way they do it is, I think she does it through her email blast or whatever, her email marketing. But basically, like, those meal plans go out through email instead of being posted in a group. So they go out to the current customers, like for the month. And then that, she says, basically what happens is, like, they do like a manual review of who's staying active. And so if somebody cancels their Shakeology heading into month 3, they don't get the email with the meal plan. And so she said what it does is then that person says, hey, what happened? Like, I love those meal plans, right? Like, and that she's able to say, like, well, those meal plans only come, they're included with your price when it comes with Shakeology. So she's leveling up the value of the price of Shakeology, which I think is really smart. So she's only giving that other content, the meal plans, if people are staying on Shakeology. And I kind of like that approach. So that's something to throw out there too. But Katie, you were going to ask something?
I'm going to ask, like, is there any downside to us doing our own virtual gym? Like, because I immediately was like, that's a great idea. And then, like, made a page. So
you could do your own virtual gym, but then you have the option, like Jackie just said, like, you could add people into the bigger community too after 30 days or after they finish their challenge group or whatever.
I mean, for me, the big benefit, and this is just, my life is overwhelming at this stage, is what?
I'm impressed that you're awake. Your eyes are
my head up. Can you see? This hand's not moving. I've been energized twice today, and I only got through 11 minutes of my workout before Holly would stop sitting on me during PIO, and I quit, and then I almost cried, but I didn't. But anyway, what we're doing? Oh, the virtual. I just like that they're going to get all that content, and I don't have to come up with it constantly. So I think getting them in 30 days. A lot of my people do like the smaller group. I think getting them in 30 days of that smaller group, then I'd be more comfortable with the big group virtual gym. Because I think even with some of our launch groups, even though there is a lot of energy, a lot of my people just, I feel like, have gotten lost if they start in a big group.
Yep.
Same with mine.
I like that. Okay, so we'll plan on starting the virtual gym. How soon do you guys want to start? We want to start in December. You want to start in January? Do you want me to go ahead and create it tonight? Like, what do you want to do?
I mean, is there any, I'm just thinking off the cuff, but is there any way or any benefit of kind of marketing as we go into our next groups? So as we market our December groups, that this comes with then access to a virtual gym following your challenge group, kind of launching it with something that we're already trying to market to or launch, or just add it now. I don't know.
I almost feel like we could like play. I think that we could almost play on the January 1st, like, opening of a virtual gym. I don't know. I'm just kind of playing with it right now. But
yeah, I also wonder if it would be valuable for us to run the virtual gym, create it in the month of like heading into December, and have it be a team, like coaches only for the month of December.
To play with it a little.
We could utilize it as our own accountability, our own, when it comes to health and fitness, not with the business. And we could populate it too. So if Laura wants to do a video about proper squat form, if I want to do like, here's my favorite meal prepping tips, like we could go ahead and get some content in there and then build up the value of it. That way we're not like launching it with like a, there's one post to look at on day one. That way there's already stuff in there. And then if we have people that hop into it in January or even February after Transform 20, we've got some good content to add them to.
I think that's a good idea. I like that a lot.
Okay. Okay, cool. All right. So that was really the only thing that I had, was just to give you guys an update on the 2B mindset thing and then talk about this virtual gym. So I will get it set up. I'll plan on having it set up by Thanksgiving. And then I'll make it like a coaches only thing. And then we'll kind of open it January 1st. It'll be like if you want to add people on January 1st, you can add people, but they have to be a challenge pack purchaser, not just somebody that likes chocolate cherry beach bars. Okay.
I like those.
I do too. I've been stealing them from my mom. Like, that's how bad it's gotten. Like,
I skipped a month of those because we had an overload from pregnancy of Shakeology. So I was getting like just beach bars, but then I started to run low on my Shakeology. And so I was like, oh, dang it. So I bumped my beach bars for last month, and I'm like jonesing bad for them. I'm like, when did they get here? When did they get here?
I know. We have.
Holly always tries to get them. I told her they were my medicine.
I know. My kids try to steal them from me. No,
I had some like those mommy's medicine.
Yeah. Ellery, every day when she gets up from her nap, she gets a daily sunshine. So I blend her daily sunshine with like avocado, sunflower butter, her milk, and then she gets like a shake when she wakes up from her nap, and it's like her favorite time of day, her favorite snack. And but recently this kid is just eating all the time, so she's been asking me like, bar, and the only reason she says bar is because I eat a bar, and that's about that time of day. So usually I'll eat my bar while she's drinking the daily, and she'll say, Mama, bar, like, and I say, all I have to do is hold up the wrapper, and she goes, Mama's bar. Like, right. This is Mama's bar. So like everything else is shareable. She can have my eggs, my toast, but that's Mama's bar. Like, we don't touch Mama's bar.
Nicholas like straight up steals it from me. Like, he will sneak into my bag and steal it and like hide under the table to eat it. Like,
I know. I'm hoping that they're going to come out with a vegan bar. Maybe that's the nutritional announcement.
It totally backfired on me though, because the other day I've been starving all the time. So in the afternoon I was like, well, I'll just make like a chocolate daily sunshine for a snack. And Holly like flipped out because I was drinking her shake. I completely lost it. I'm like, here I am. I won't share anything with you.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
The kids. Well, Ellery's not shifted to daylight or Eastern Standard Time, so we put her to bed at 6:15 tonight, and that's really fun. That means she'll be up. She's been up every day at 5:30.
Mm-hmm. Holly napped almost 4 hours today. It was noon, and I was like, "You're just goodbye."
Yeah, I took her to Gymboree today, and her class is at 10. Or sorry, her class is usually at 10:15, and it is at 10:15. But on her clock, that's now 11:15. So I was pushing her bad. Like, she was halfway through the class. She was like, Mama, go bye-bye. Go bye. Okay. So I told my mom, I'm like, the goal is to have her adjusted to Eastern time by Christmas. It's going to take us like 2 months. So what else do you have going on business-wise? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say my kids have adjusted. My kids are just on a hunger strike lately. They just don't want to eat dinner, like, ever, no matter what we make. So that's been fun.
I made sesame chicken tonight, and Holly ate she came running around and ate it off all of our plates, which usually chicken's not a big thing for her, but I was like, go for it. Finally.
How much sleep are you getting, Jackie?
You know, I don't know.
Look, not a lot.
He's good at the beginning. Like, he'll usually eat at like 9, so he's in bed a little after 10, and then up. He's making till like 2:30, which is really good. If that, maybe 1:30.
Yeah.
But if he eats at like 3:30 or 4, he's just up for the day. And I'm like, so I get like 3 hours and then like 45 minutes. Sometimes a little bit longer, but he's really colicky, so it's been.
Oh.
Yeah, this first time I've really set him down. I handed him to Derek, and I can hear him upstairs. So.
Oh.
Yeah.
I was so thankful that with Ellery being adopted and with breastfeeding not being on my agenda, I was very excited because that means I like Chris and I alternated. So
yeah.
When she would get up at like 1 a.m., when she got up at 1 a.m., I would get her and Chris would sleep. So he would go to bed at like 9 or 10 and sleep. And he would get to sleep from like 10 until she woke up at 4. And then he would just get up at 4 for the day for school. And he would get up with her at 4 and feed her. And then I would sleep until he left for school. So we had a good system going. Except then she grew up and she still to this day, she rustles and tosses and turns at 4 a.m. because Daddy liked to have time with her like before school. So they would play and she would be alert and he would like work out and she would watch him all at 4 a.m. And I swear it implemented this like routine or this pattern in her head. So I hear her every night in the middle of the night, like 4:30 or 5 in the morning, like move around. I'm like, those are from her early days. Like that's why she's doing that. But But yeah, kudos to you for the no sleep thing. Whew, it's hard.
It's amazing how quickly you forget it all. It's amazing how quickly you like forget from the first time around. And you do it again. You're like, what the hell?
Yeah. Chris went to the last night was like a NCAA basketball tournament downtown. He had a ticket to go, and so he went. And like the game was like at 9:30, so he's like, I'm not going to be home until like 1. And then Ellery's been waking up at 5:30, so he's like, I was like, you're only going to sleep like 4 hours, and he's like, yeah, I know, whatever. And last night I texted him when he was at the game, and I said, well, just remember when you feel like ass tomorrow that this is what it would be. This is exactly what it would feel like to have a second kid. So just so you're fully aware, just remind yourself of that.
That's what I've been telling people. I'm like, this like definitely our last, obviously, and I am enjoying all the cuddles that I can right now, but I'm equally happy that she's sleeping through the night and I don't have to go through that newborn stage again. Mm-hmm. I'm good. And I'm also like counting down the days till I'm done posting. Because that has taken over my life. I'm done. I'm ready to be done after this baby.
Yeah. I understand. So what else do you guys want to talk about tonight? Anything specifically?
How are your headaches doing?
Well, they haven't been great. Today, the last 2 days have been improved, so I feel a lot better today. But we're making some progress on figuring out what's going on. Chris and I actually were that's why I was late to the call, because we were just talking about it, because my doctor has me coming in every 2 weeks. And then every other week that I don't see her, I have blood work done. So basically like 8 years ago when I started with Beachbody and I was having the migraine issues, I had what they call like status migrainosis, which is basically like a constant migraine, like it never goes away. So I had like 2.5 straight years of headache in 2010. And so at that time, like we tried everything. Like I tried Botox for migraine. I had all these drugs pumped into me. I did all these trials. I had 4 neck surgeries, like you named it. I tried it and nothing ever worked. And so finally my yoga instructor, who's my good friend, was like, you should see this natural doctor in Indy. Like she's an MD. She works with the community network, but she specializes in like naturopathic methods. So I was literally like, I had seen everybody, 3 different neurologists, everything. So I went to her and she decided to just on a whim put me on this progesterone cream, which is a hormone, a bioidentical hormone cream. She was like, your hormone work came back and your progesterone was extremely low, which also happens to be your fertility hormone. So she's like, by the way, have you had any trouble conceiving? And we were like, we don't know. Like, we haven't really been trying necessarily, but we haven't been not trying. So that was our first glimpse into sort of like this issue that I didn't know existed, which was infertility wrapped up with cause of my migraines. Like my progesterone was just rock bottom. And so I started supplementing with this cream in 2012. And within 6 months, I was basically headache free. Like I would only have headaches before my period, and that was it. Man, the people listening to this recording are just going to be like enthralled with this. But anyway, so it's worked for me from 2012 until this year. Halfway through 80-Day Obsession in February or March, I started having really weird changes with my cycle, which looking back, like I had a short cycle one month and then I had a really long cycle, and I've always been really regular. And so I started to pick up on the fact that I thought maybe my body was overtraining and that was causing my hormones to be fluctuating. So we backed off of that and we started doing a bunch of testing to see what was going on. And I can give you the short story version, which is my headaches slowly started worsening in the spring. They went from being 2 days a month to being like 5 days a month. And then in the summer, they moved to like 10 or 12 days a month. And then in the last 2 months, they've been more often than they haven't been. So finally, I feel really confident that we're onto something, because I started realizing in July that the cream that I've always used was giving me like this really weird rash on my skin, and it was giving me other symptoms. And so I called my doctor and she said, well, you need to call the apothecary that compounds your cream and ask them if anything has changed. So I called them. They said, no, nothing's changed. So I continue to put it on. And so I've gone through this where, it's like in your head, you're like, this helped me for 6 years. You're like almost addicted to it because you're like, my head hurts. I got to put more on. I got to put more on. So my instant inclination, because I'm on a self-dose, like literally my dose is just whatever you feel like you need to take. So my doctor trusts me with just figuring it out. So I've just been increasing and increasing and increasing, and I've been feeling worse and worse and worse. And finally, through blood work and saliva tests and the whole adrenal fatigue thing, like all these different things have come around to show that something must be going on with this cream. So regardless of what the apothecary told me, my body is for some reason reacting oppositely to this cream that it used to. So the good news is we think we're onto something here, because we're able to look at the months where I've used it versus the months I haven't used as much, and we can kind of compare blood work and all that kind of stuff. So I'm supposed to be getting a syringe in the mail. I was supposed to get it today, but I should have it tomorrow. And instead of being the cream that I usually get, it's going to be just the cream base, which means it won't have the hormone in it. It'll just be the cocoa butter, avocado oil, almond oil, the concoction that they use. And so I'm supposed to put that on, and see if it gives me the same reaction. So if I get the headache, the hot flashes, the nausea, all the things that I've been having, the panic attacks, which have been awesome, all the things that I've been experiencing, like if that cream base gives that to me, then we know that there's some sort of allergy to the cream base. The bad news is
the progesterone cream.
Yeah.
Because I was on progesterone injections for all of my rounds that I did, and this last one, all of a sudden, I had huge reactions to it too. It was just it was progesterone too, but
was it synthetic or bio HRT? Synthetic.
I don't know. I'm assuming it was synthetic.
Yeah. Every time I've ever done anything synthetic, it's made me crazy. So like birth control pills,
Oh, yeah.
anything. Like I went bonkers. So, and that's the main reason we didn't do IVF. So kudos to you. I know it's hard because I
was crazy.
Yeah. I literally told my Chris, I'm like, I'm not going to go crazy, but
birth control or the birth control, or no, it wasn't low overall. One of the birth controls I was on made me so crazy. Like,
so yeah,
I don't know how Peter married me, because I was on this like right when we started dating, and I was like, I could seriously stab somebody and have a problem. Like it was horrible.
Yep.
He's like, yeah, you should probably call your doctor.
Yeah. Yep. So yeah, I literally just told Chris today, I'm like, I don't understand why you're still with me, because I have literally been like batshit crazy in the last few months. Like I literally have had panic attacks over nothing, like random vertigo episodes, like weird. So there's something wrong, right? So
yeah.
So anyway, so my doctor finally agreed. She's like, okay, well, let's just, I think she kind of thinks I'm crazy because she's never had a client that has had a problem with it. But I'm like the 1% for everything. You know what I mean? Like, that's just who I am. So she's like, okay, like if you think that's what it is. So I'm hoping.
You're in the rough, Jenny. Well,
I'm hoping that when I put this cream on that I have a reaction so that I can be like, aha, this is it. And the good news is that if I do, that they can actually, there are different lotions and different things that they can use. So
there's no chance that like after using something for 6 years, your body is just resistant to it now?
Yeah, that's what we thought for a really long time. So that's what we started thinking in the spring. And so I went off of it for 2 months, and everything, my headaches got way worse. And my blood work keeps pointing to low progesterone. So she's like, normally if your body if it starts to become toxic, we would see that represented in your saliva tests or in your blood work. And it's not, like my progesterone is really low. So, but the interesting thing is I haven't been using it to the full dose that I can, because I've been having these sort of like subconscious realizations that does that make sense? Like I go to put it on at night and I'm like, well, normally I'd put on 3 squirts, but I'm only going to do 1 because I think it's making me nauseous. Right. Like, but I do it anyway, because I'm like, it should help me. It should help me. It should help me. So it's this weird cycle of crazy that's been happening in my house. So, but I've been like rock bottom a lot the last 2 months. So I know I've been somewhat MIA with getting things done. And that's just literally been a matter of, because I feel like I'm in survival mode. My cortisol has been rock bottom, like my adrenals are rock bottom. So I'm trying to just like do what I need to do and figure this out, because honestly, her next step was to send me to the Cleveland Clinic. And I don't want to do that because I feel like that's starting over. And it feels like I'm sitting down with a whole new panel of doctors and I'm going through everything all over again. And just this last week, she sent me to a neurologist. I think I told you guys. She's like, well, go see this neurologist first and whatever. Total waste of time. Like, all he wanted to do was put me on a new drug and have me try a new shot for migraines. And I was like, no, you don't know me. Like, I did all this 8 years ago and I'm not doing it again, because I found relief with something that worked. So that tells me what my source is. That tells me what the problem is. So I don't want to treat anything but the source. And I told him, I said, do you know about hormone fluctuations and estrogen dominance and all this stuff? And he's like, I don't even know how to read your blood work. And I was like, well, then bye. Like, see you later. So that's like my biggest fear, is that we're not going to figure this out. And I'm going to end up at like Cleveland Clinic with a panel of people who it's like starting over. So I don't want that to happen. So I'm taking a lot of matters into my own hands, like doing a lot of research, trying to figure it out and talking to people who are in the know. And I'm hoping that it leads us to the right solution. So
if you're feeling overwhelmed with getting stuff done, you've got a team full of people that can help you. Okay?
Yeah, I know.
Delegate.
Wasn't that your takeaway from the last mastermind?
It was. Yeah. It's a lot of it though comes down to like, I thrive on creativity. Like, one of my skill sets is creativity. And so that is just when I don't feel good, like when I have no focus, my creativity is just rock bottom. And so it's hard to delegate creativity. Do you know what I mean? Like,
I get that.
Like I have these thoughts in the back of my mind of like, oh, like I need to be email blasting and I need to be coming up with something for our team to do for this or that or this or that. And like, I'll listen to a wake up call and have ideas, but then it's like pushing them through and getting myself to think them through when I don't feel like I have any focus is where I've been struggling. So I feel like I've been living in the land of lots of baby ideas, but like nothing coming to fruition because I just, by the time Ellery goes to bed, most days I'm done. So
that's how I felt for about the first 4 months of Danica's life. So I get it for a different reason.
yeah.
I finally saw the light the last couple of months.
Yep. Everybody's got rough patches for sure. So sucks.
Well, you're not alone. And we're here to help where we can.
I appreciate it. So it sounds like I've been seeing in my online my coach office. First of all, wait, this is random. Does anybody have Gmail? And has anybody had any problems with their Gmail this week?
I do have Gmail, but I don't use it very often.
Okay.
So
I don't think I've had any problems, but honestly, I'm not emailing all that much these days.
Okay. I got kicked out of my Gmail. Like,
oh no, I'm in it every day.
Yeah, so am I. And like 4 days ago, it just kicked me out and said I needed to purchase more storage. So Chris and I have been spending all this time, like, because I had just sent out my newsletter and I had people respond that were interested in my challenge group, but it like wiped out my emails. Like I couldn't get in my inbox. And so Chris finally figured it out today. I was like, just buy the storage. I don't care at this point. Like I need my email. And he figured it out. He like deleted a bunch of stuff and like a bunch of stuff in my inbox. And
but Gmail is free cloud software. That's like a scam.
Well, I don't know he ended up figuring out that it was like I had too many. He's like, you have too many like coupons in your email. Like the promo emails that are like 20% off this, 25% off this. I'm like, yeah, because I like to shop. Like, so he's like 140,000 of those in your inbox. I'm like, well, you know how Gmail is. Like, you can't control it. Like, I get like 200 emails a day. So I think it just got to be too much spam in my inbox and shut down or something. I don't know. So he figured it out today because that's what I do. Like, anytime I feel frustrated, I'm like, figure this out. I don't know what's wrong with my email. Those of you who are doing the mastermind, have you started reading the book yet?
I started listening through Audible a couple days ago, but I think I'm going to also get the Kindle version because I can highlight in that too. So I think I'm going to get both so I can listen and like read along with it. So
I can only
got it on Audible.
I can only read one sentence at a time, and then I think I'm going to fall asleep, or I stop. You know where you think you're reading, but then you realize you haven't been reading. You've just been like daydreaming while you're holding a book.
Right.
I'm like, can we just read the Rachel Hollis book again, please?
Yeah, I know.
I think it's maybe it's a combination of like, she annoys me. Like, I feel like I would hate working for her because she's all lovey-dovey in her office. Like, let's hold hand and kiss and make, I don't know, scrapbook while we talk about this business meeting. I'm just like, I don't know. That bothers me. And then maybe her vocabulary is higher than mine, and I don't work in corporate America anymore, and I kind of hate corporate America, so struggling. But one of my customers, who I really want to be a coach, but she resisted a lot, I made an Instagram story thing about like, if you like this book, tell me about it. She wrote me a whole thing about how much she loves it and what a great book it is and everything she got out of it. And I was like, all right, I will keep trying. But yeah, I don't know. It's hard for me to read. It feels like I'm just trudging through the sand and like.
It can't be as bad as this one.
I even like that book better.
I love that one.
That book did piss me off, but
you're making me really want to push play on this audiobook, Katie, though. Really
I didn't think it was bad.
I'm enjoying it. I think it's good perspective, but
yeah, I usually liked it so far.
Yeah.
But I need to go back and listen to it again because sometimes like my kids will run through and I'm like, wait, what? What did she just say?
You've got some very like thought-provoking phrases and sentences that are like make you stop.
Yeah, some of them, they're in there. They're in there. I feel like she spends a lot of time explaining things that don't need to be explained. And then she'll throw in something really insightful, but then just move past it. And I'm like, well, what about that thing you just said? That was really good. Like, let's focus there. And then she's like, let's rumble with this. Sorry.
Well, we'll see how the mastermind goes. I know I met with Amy on Monday, and she said she was excited about it. She's been reading ahead, of course. I think she'll read the whole book before we even meet.
If I didn't have the mastermind, I think I would just put the book down and never pick it up. So I'm really excited for the mastermind because I think it's forcing me to read a book that probably has a lot of value that I just am. It's just an easy read for me.
Right.
It just keeps me accountable to actually take action with my personal development because I listen to a lot of it and I'm like, oh, that's a great idea. And then 10 minutes later, wait, what was that? Or I forgot to write it down. And So,
okay. So let's talk really quick with those of you guys who are on here about your current rank and where you're at with advancing rank. So Katie, you mentioned today that you've got a working coach on each leg now.
Yes.
These are 2 new coaches?
No, one is a coach who has been a coach for a really long time, but I just really wasn't aware of her because she was under someone else who quit. So then I absorbed her. But that one day you were feeling really sick. I wanted to call and tell you the story of her because it's really cool that I basically actually recruited her because like she was watching the way I was interacting with this other coach and was really amazed by our team. And that's what caused her to want to join. So even though like there was, I don't know, it was just kind of cool how that happened. So anyway, I just noticed her more and more like being active, like wanting to join a challenge group with me and seeing her posts and stuff. So I talked to her and she was like, yeah, I absolutely want to do this as a business. We had a really good conversation and that was last week. And then today I checked my online office and saw that I had a new coach, which I was like, what? So it was a customer.
That's the girl that messaged me today.
Yeah. So I sent her a message this morning before I had my bankruptcy hearing today. So I was like, I'm in meetings today, but are you available to chat? And she's like, yes, 12:30. I'm like, okay. And so we talked on the phone for a really long time. And she used to be a turbo kick instructor back in the day and loved it. And then, life happened, whatever. And she was like, the time I was the happiest was when I was with Beachbody. And so it just so happened that she had been assigned to me with the customer program. And so now she did join with Challenge Pack, which thank you for making me look that up.
Sure.
So she really wants, so I put her and Amanda. So I have Juanetta and Amanda, and I put them in a private chat group. And I said, okay, you guys are both working for Emerald. Like, let's use this chat to help each other out. So they're like on the same field as far as like what they're learning. So
cool.
I think that'll be good.
Are they both working on some sort of like putting it out there type of post or challenge group invitation plan?
I've been teaching them the PB&J thing.
Okay.
So that's mostly what I've been doing. And I talked to Juanetta a little bit just about like the posts. I said I do public posts, public invites occasionally, but mostly I just try to add value through my social media. Just because I don't want her to come out of the gate like being super spam, like when you're all excited. So I said mostly I just keep invites to private messages. And I talked to her about her goal is she wants to earn $1,500 and have 10 customers. And so I was like, sweet, that's great. I said, but that means like on average I get for every 7 customers or every 7 people I ask, I get 1 yes. I said, so do you have a list of 70 people? So that's where I last talked to her. I was like, do you have 70 people who you're going to invite to?
Okay.
So, but
Cool.
that's where I'm at. Yeah, and I was like,
what's Amanda's? You said Amanda is the one that was your existing coach?
Yep. Her name's Amanda Sue Delp, I think is.
Yeah, okay.
I have 2 Amandas.
That's why I was asking. Okay.
I have 2 Amandas. I have 2 Patricias. I got a lot of doubles.
All right, I gotta go, guys. Sorry.
No worries.
Sleep.
Talk to you later.
Good night.
I've had a lot of seed planting going on. A lot of no's, or not right now's, but definitely a lot of seed planting going on, like a lot. With current challengers, with just people that I think would make great coaches. So I have started on my list of 10. I like my dream team, I call it. And I have started on that list, but yeah, still trying.
So I think there was a point recently where you were talking about signing some folks up that were Shakeology enthusiasts. How did that go?
I've had, not right now's, I've had a couple of people recently are like still very, very new to Shakeology. One of which is, I think I signed her at the end of last month. So she's still like only like a week or so in to Shakeology, because she left and she just got her Shakeology when she came back. So she is starting to like it, but it's one of those things that she still kind of wants to see how she does with it. And I've talked to her about the business aspects as well. And yeah, so she's a possibility for somebody this month. I started the conversation with 3 other current customers that are ordering it on a pretty regular basis. So it's still in process right now. So some people I'm talking to right now are just like, one works for Major League Soccer. So she's like never around. So she kind of like messages me at odd hours of the night. And so sometimes the conversations take a couple of days.
Gotcha. Okay.
But yeah, conversations are happening. Seeds are being planted.
Okay.
Working on it.
So I'm wondering then if, I mean, and you can decide this, you don't have to answer this out loud, but like, I'm wondering if having some sort of opportunity, whether it's a video that you create or an event that you host or something that we do as a team, like whatever, I wonder if having something next step would be something that you could do after those seeds have been planted, just to get them learning more about it.
Yeah, that definitely needs to happen. It's something that's been on my bucket list. It's just figuring out with the time slots that I've had, prioritizing Success Club and
right. Yep.
So
yeah. Because it sounds like, I mean, I am 100% confident that you're seed planting very well, and you're doing a good job of that. So versus, you know, if you have something that you're planning, you know, whether it's like after Thanksgiving, you're going to host this live stream in a private group or whatever you're going to do to talk about coaching, like something where you have something specific to invite them to, where you can circle back in a couple weeks or whatever and say, you know, hey, I know that we talked about this a few weeks ago, but I just so happen to be hosting this thing, right? Like, would you be interested in hearing more about it? I think would help you maybe move them versus circling back and planting the seed again and again and again. So that's just an idea.
Okay.
What about you, Nicole?
I still have a lot of conversations happening. The one girl that I messaged about this morning, she said, okay, I'm done fighting. Tell me more about this. So I'm sent her a short video. She said she would watch it tonight. And then I have a couple other conversations that I'm having with a couple other people about coaching. I started weekly calls with Heather and Janelle and Paige, just setting weekly goals So their goals for each week, which I think will help. But Heather and Janelle and Kyle are all on the same leg. And Paige is on the other side, but she's not really into like super working right now as she's finishing up nursing school. But I still have a ton of conversations, planting seeds.
Yep. Okay. So you're looking to still, recruit somebody for that other leg and more.
Yeah.
Add them up. Yeah. I don't know if you guys have done that avatar activity thing yet, but it just so happened that today, the podcast that came up in my queue to listen to, I'm going to share it tomorrow in the Rank Attack group, but it is Amy Porterfield's podcast. Her podcast is called Online Marketing Made Easy. And she just did a 30-minute podcast, I think it came out today, called How to Identify Your Ideal Customer Avatar.
I listened to that one today, and I printed off the document.
That's what I was just going to say. She refers you to a free resource that she created where you can fill that out. And the thing that I liked about it sounds like it's going to be part of a 3-part series. So I think she's going to have a couple more episodes coming out on this topic. But the questions that she asked in the podcast, I thought helped shape your perspective on what you're looking for. So instead of just sitting down with a piece of paper being like, well, what are the characteristics that I'm looking for? And you're like, I don't know, she asked some interesting questions like, who is a current customer that you have that you feel like has taken full advantage of your offerings and is just an ideal client that you already have, and like model the characteristics for your avatar after that person, right? She also asked the question of like, what areas, something about like, I didn't write them down and I should have, something about like, what areas does your ideal customer, what areas do they struggle in? And she said that she had a lot of, when she was filling this out for herself and kind of figuring this out for herself, she had to ask herself that question. Like, so when it came to me, she teaches people how to create online courses. So when it came for her to think about that, she said, well, what were my biggest struggles when I was creating online courses? And she made a list of what those struggles were, right? And then those are the things that she addressed in her marketing, right? And so that's the purpose of me sharing this with you, is to not only recommend the podcast, which I'm going to be sharing tomorrow in the group, and her worksheet, but to tell you that having that list is so valuable, because it's the same exact type of thing when we talk about, okay, what are the potential objections or struggles of our typical customer? Those are the types of things then that we can address in our marketing. So you're sort of like proactively addressing those things. You're sort of creating the customer that you're going to, by me not apologizing for Shakeology and the cost, I don't get a lot of complainers on the cost of Shakeology. Does that make sense? So you're kind of molding your ideal customer, and then that's who you attract. And so the same thing goes for coaches. And I think we've been sort of thinking about, I don't say that generally. I think most people think about their ideal coach, and they're not thinking about it in the way of how they can mold a person to become their ideal coach, right? And we can do that by asking ourselves the questions, okay, in what areas did I struggle? Like, in what areas did I need coaching, right? And those are the types of things you could talk about in your marketing. But then also looking at the people that you're already working with, like coach or customer, and say, okay, who are the people that I really enjoyed working with? What characteristics about them do I want to find more of? So I thought she just positioned it a little bit differently than I've heard before. So I liked that. I like her too. When I worked at the book publishing company, she was one of our authors. So she was always super cool. Okay, cool. Okay, so that is a good launching pad for us to head into the end of the year, I think, with a plan. So we'll start up this virtual gym. Body Electric Virtual Gym. I'll probably do a live stream about it in the team page so that people not on the call understand what we're doing. And then I'll open it up to just coaches only until January 1st. So it'll open, I'll say to the public, but it'll open to our customers on January 1st. And then the 2B mindset thing, once Chris and I figure out what we want to do with the account and how we're going to set that up, it should be ready to just copy paste and be done. So hopefully by Thanksgiving that will be done as well. So those are my 2 personal goals when it comes to the team stuff. And the Rank Attack group, I want to keep offering some things that you guys can be doing to continually focus on recruiting coaches. So these activities of the customer avatar, the coach avatar, podcasts to listen to, things to be doing, hopefully keeps you on track with that as well. Because I totally give you all the kudos for the seed planting, the conversations, like that is doing the work. But I just based on my suspicions from having all the one-on-one calls that we had in the middle of October, it seems that more often than not, I think we're being a little too conservative when it comes to the invitations to coaching, and we can probably be a little bit more aggressive than we are. So just to reiterate that point, that while the seed planting is exactly what you should be doing, I'm hoping that a handful of times each month, you're exiting the comfort zone and going for the ask with some people. So otherwise, we have this goal that's out here, and it's like we're never really getting there because we're just constantly treading water. So I want to keep propelling that in the Rank Attack group as well. Okay, sound good? All right, cool. So thank you guys for hopping on here tonight. I appreciate your time. I'm going to keep doing these webinars on Wednesdays for the rest of the year. That's the plan. Except for the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, I believe we don't have one. And then probably, obviously, end of December too. So we're going to keep doing these types of things. But I thought for today, especially given my recent sort of not been feeling well, not been totally plugged in, I wanted to do this just to kind of see where you guys were at and get some ideas. It gets me excited to work on some more ideas. So
I like it. I like just seeing everybody and chatting.
Yeah, me too. And it's funny because every week Chris says, "Do you have a call tonight?" And I say, "Yeah, it's only going to be like 20 or 30 minutes." Every time I'm like, I walk in there at like 10 or 10:15. He's like, "It's okay, whatever." So when I came in the room tonight, he's like, "I'll see you at 10. Okay, sounds good. So, but yeah, I like seeing all of your faces. Okay, you guys, I have this recorded. I will put the disclaimer in the team page tomorrow that it was partial business, partial personal. Watch us have even more people watch it because of that. But if you guys have any questions about anything, let me know. Otherwise, I'll talk to you in the thread. Have a good night.